Organizational Behavior, Chapter 12, Teams, Processing, and Communication. Class agenda. Teams, processing, and communication. Why are some teams more than the sum of their parts? Task work process, teamwork process, communication, team states. How important are team processes? Application, training teams, transportable team competencies, cross training, team process training, team building. We have the integrative model. Again, we see that each chapter. Team processes and communications. Team process refers to the different types of activities and interactions that occur within a team as it works towards its goals. Team characteristics such as a member diversity, task independence, team size affect team processes and communication. Team processes have strong impact on team effectiveness. Some processes and communications are observable and others are less visible. For example, a feeling of cohesion experienced by team members is not visible. So when we look at the team process and communication, we have some of the things that we discussed in the previous chapter, but we also have some additional stuff that we're looking at here, particularly when we talk about things that are that are not visible, such as cohesion. These things they're hard to define. We know it when we see it, and it's hard to duplicate. And there's many ways to get that wrong. So I will tell you that that's something that even though when we know what it is, it's hard to kind of duplicate. And sometimes it happens on its own, and sometimes it happens through the good planning. Why are some teams more than the sum of their parts? Process gain is getting more from the team than you would expect according to the capabilities of its individuals, also called synergy. Results in resources and capabilities that did not exist before the team created. So when you look at it, it's like, for instance, we have a team, we put it together, and we know that this team is supposed to be able to do X, Y, and Z. But when we put them together, they actually are able to do TUV, X, Y, and Z. Unbeknownst to us, that we didn't know that was going to happen. And the reason it happened was because of synergy. And it was because they were able to do things that we didn't think they were able to do or didn't know that they were going to be able to do. So when you look at process loss, this is getting less from a team than you would expect. So you put a team together and you expect it to be able to do X, Y, and Z. And realistically, it only does Z. And it's like, well, what's the problem here? That is a process loss. So again, I give you an example of one where you have process gains and process loss. Why are some teams more than the sum of their parts? Causes of process loss. Coordination loss. Process loss due to the time it takes to coordinate work activities with the team members. Production blocking results from the team members waiting on each other before completing their own tasks. So when you look at planning, process loss could be because, trying to get people coordinated, trying to get up and running. Well, guess what? When you're trying to do something, you're not doing something. You're not performing. You're not getting things done. You have process loss. When you have production blocking, for instance, team members waiting on others. So for instance, if you have someone who's actually producing something, but they must produce something before the other 4 people can produce something. Well, if that person is slow or you have issues there, the other 3 people are behind as well. Production blocking, motivational loss, process loss due to team members' tendency to put forth less effort on team tasks than they could. So some people just won't be motivated. You may actually have them assigned to a process or task that they just don't particularly care for, or they're not that interested in, or they're not that vested in. So realistically, you see a loss there. Social loafing results from members feeling less accountable for team outcomes compared with their independent work outside of the team. So social loafing is when you have somebody who's feeling, I feel good about what I do and I'm accountable for that, but I'm not really all that vested and accountable for what the team does. And I don't feel that way. That's what that is. Task work processes. The activities of the team members that relate directly to the accomplishment of team tasks occurs anytime that the team members interact with the tools or technology used to complete their work. Relates to task performance aspect of the job. So task work process the activities of team members that relate directly to accomplishment of their team. So things that they need to get the job done. That's how you should look at that. Task work processes. So you see creative behavior, decision making, boundary spanning. Creative behavior. Generating novel and useful ideas and solutions. Brainstorming is a process used to generate creative ideas. Express all ideas that come to mind, no matter how strange. Go for the quantity of ideas over quality. Don't criticize or evaluate ideas of others. Build on those ideas. So when you look at creative behavior, this is really saying, you know what? Let's go all in. Let's just throw some stuff out there and see what sticks. And realistically, let's don't be concerned about the quality right now. Let's look at the quantity. Because from the quantity, you can go and extract quality eventually as you whittle things down. And you get to build on those ideas. In other words, if you have someone that says something, I don't tell Jack, well, Jack, that's stupid what you just said. No, I don't criticize because Jack may be onto something. It might be something that, I can't see right now or something we can't use right now, but we may be able to use later. So we actually support each other's ideas and we build on those ideas. Because someone comes up with an idea doesn't mean that they get it all right. It may just be an idea. I may come up with the rest of it, or someone else may come up with the rest of it to make that idea actually something functional that we can use. Drawbacks to creative behavior. Drawbacks include social loafing, hesitancy to express ideas in a group setting, production blocking as members wait for their turns. So you see that benefits. So you see individuals, sometimes folks are afraid to express what they think or feel or want to do in a group because they think, well, it might sound crazy. You can't have that when you're trying to do creative behavior. You need people to feel open and welcome and give input. That's what it's about. Production blocking is as members wait their turn to express ideas. So if you got somebody, if people have to wait till they be able to express their ideas for other things to happen or for other people to do stuff, that's an issue as well. It should be something where it's free flowing. Benefits include morale boosting and idea sharing. So one of the things when you have it, this is where people can encourage each other. We can boost each other's morale. We can build each other up and we can share ideas and we can build on those ideas and work off each other's ideas. It's not about us. It's about we. And when you do that, and for people who understand that, that works real well. Nominal group technique. Team members individually write ideas and then take turns sharing them with the group. So you could have a situation where, let's tell you that. I have a group that they have a tendency, they're good, but they have a tendency to all want to speak at the same time and they talk over each other. So we can't really get things done the way I would like to. So what I may choose to do is use a nominal group technique. Say, okay, here's what we're going to do so that we're not stepping on each other and we're respecting each other's boundaries and everybody's getting a turn. Here's what I'm going to allow everybody to do. Write down your stuff and everybody's going to get a chance to present what they have. So where there's a will, there's a way. So here's secrets of brainstorming. I won't read through all of those. I'll let you pause and read through those on your own. Decision making. Different processes are used by teams to make accurate and effective decisions. Consensus is a general agreement among which everybody kind of agrees to. Factors that affect team decision making. Decision informity reflects whether members possess inadequate information about their own tasks, responsibilities. So understanding, what it is what you do as well as what others do. Staff validity refers to the degree to which members make good recommendations to their leaders. So when you have staff validity, you have people who've gone through a decision-making process. Now they're making valid points and information, recommendations to the leaders that make sense. And I will tell you right here, this is the area right here where trust is very important. Hierarchy sensitivity reflects the degree to which the leader effectively weighs the recommendations of the members. Hierarchy sensitivity, this is when a leader values your input and he weighs those recommendations and really looks at From my experience, what I've seen is people really, good leaders, when they get good people that's working for them, they understand this, they trust them, and they value that. Boundary spanning relates to task work processes that involve individuals and groups who are not considered part of the team. So ambassador activities refers to the communications that are intended to protect the group, persuade others to support the team, or obtain important resources for the team. So ambassador activities, when you look at it, this may be someone say that it may be not your boss, but someone else that says, you know what, that group that you work in is actually pretty good. And, you know, we need to give them some consideration and we need to give them some resources to help them do what they need to do. Task coordination activities involve communications that are intended to coordinate task-related issues with people or groups and other functional areas. So when you have something that you do in your group and there's another group that has something that they do, well, we're going to coordinate to make sure that what we do and they do, when we bring them together, they work. We're going to make sure we're not duplicating efforts and that things work smoothly when we come together. Scout activities refer to things that team members do to obtain information about technology, competitors, or broader marketplace. So, you know, you hear about, particularly in sports, you hear about the scouting the talent or whatever else. It's the same thing here. We're scouting of technology, looking for technologies or what the competitors are doing, what the marketplace is doing. You get a scouting report, just like you do it in sports. Teamwork processes, interpersonal activities that facilitate the accomplishment of the team's work, but do not directly involve task accomplishment. So I read it again. Interpersonal activities that facilitate the accomplishment of the team's work, but do not directly involve accomplishment. Give example. Create the setting or context in which task work takes place. Involve a combination of types of behavior. So when you talk about creating the setting or the context, this is how do you go about getting things done? The method in which you use. Involve a combination of types of different behaviors. So in order to do that, you're looking at different types of behaviors because you're talking about different types of people. So teamwork processes. You look at this. And so what we're looking at, notice at the bottom we see the line, we see time. So we're looking at time we're talking about here. Time is money. Transition processes, action processes, transition process, action process, interpersonal processes. You see, all these come into play. And you go through this process and then when you look at that and you bring them all together, you look at teamwork processes. But notice again, that the most important thing is time. Are these things getting done in a timely manner? In corporate America, I'm telling you right now, that's big. Time. I can get something done, but if it takes you too long to do it, that's an issue in corporate America. Time is money. Transition processes. Focus on penetration for future work. Mission analysis involves an analysis of the team's tasks, the challenges that face the team, and the resources available for completing the team's work. So when we look at the mission analysis, we're trying to figure out who we have, what is the team, what potential challenges could they face, you know, and if we see challenges, how do we deal with them? What resources do they need? Do we need to acquire things for them? A lot of times when you look at the mission analysis, one of the most important things to do is listen to the group or the team and ask them, what do they need? They can tell you a lot of times what they need, or they can speculate because they are the subject matter experts who are actually doing it. Maybe not necessarily a manager or leader, but someone who actually does it. Strategy formulation refers to the development of courses of action and contingency plans that then adapting those plans in light of changes that occur in the team's environment. So when you look at strategy coordination, this is your game plan. As you execute the game plan, what we normally find a lot of times is you have to make adjustments to the game plan as you go based upon things that were unforeseen or things you could not plan for. Goal specification involves the development and prioritization of goals related to the team's mission and strategy. So What are our goals? You know, they must be defined and must be understood, and you must have a priority of those goals. You know, action processes. So important as task work is being accomplished. Monitoring progress towards goals involves recording accomplishments on a progress chart or similar. So you are recording progress and you're charting this stuff. Remember, the reason you do this is because we want to be able to duplicate success. And if errors are made or mistakes are made, or if there's ways to find ways to do stuff better, then you must have it documented so you'll know how to go back and either duplicate it, amend it, or make things better. Systems monitoring involves keeping track of things that the team needs to accomplish at work. So whatever it is they need, things, items, duties, tasks, whatever, tools they need to help them accomplish their work, then you keep count of that. Helping behavior involves members going out of their way to help or back up other team members. Helping behavior, teamwork. That's plain and simple what it's talking about. Coordination refers to the synchronization team members' activities in a way that makes them mesh effectively and seamlessly. So you have a lot of moving parts when it comes to being on the team when working on a project. Are you coordinating, working these things properly? For instance, are you doing things in the proper order? Are you doing things such in a manner that allows you to get it done? What's scheduled to be done in 4 hours, you can get it done in 2 because you're coordinating things and you found smarter ways to get stuff done. Interpersonal processes. These are important because by doing or before periods of task work, and they relate to the way in which team members manage their relationships. So motivating and confidence building refers to things team members do or say that affect the degree to which members are motivated to work hard on the task. Motivation, confidence. A lot of times this comes from leaders and not necessarily managers or whatever else, but might be team leaders or whatever else. Find ways to motivate people and build their confidence. If you want to be able to build a strong team, these are some of the things that you must be able to do, because everybody's not going to be, unfortunately, gifted in the areas of naturally being motivated and having their own confidence. You may have to motivate them a little bit and build up their confidence to get them to do what they do. They may be good at what they do, but they may lack confidence. Effect management involves activities that foster a sense of emotional balance and unity. So when we look at the effect management involves the emotional side. Look, people aren't robots. We are living, breathing humans, and we have emotions. And with that, that's the good, bad, and the ugly. You have to find ways to balance that and find unity amongst that. But what you don't do is dismiss it or overlook it. Conflict management involves activities that the team uses to manage conflicts that arise in the course of its work. So what's your system for managing conflict? Because there will be conflict. That may be with people, or it may be with something that you're doing or whatever else. But you have to have a system in place to deal with it, where basically, listen, even if you have two people that disagree on your team and have a conflict, they disagree as gentlemen and not as adversaries, and therefore we can make things work. Relationship conflict, disagreements among team members. Here we go. In terms of interpersonal relationships or incompatibilities with respect to personal values or preferences. Just people being different. You can have some people view things one way, they may view it another way. They may have something to do with their background or whatever else. Task conflict, disagreements among members about the team's task, how to do something. So we have relationship conflict. So you see right here, here's a little chart from 1, none, to 5, a lot. So you can take this on your own, see what's your score. Communication, the process by which information and meaning gets transferred from a sender to a receiver. Communication, communication, communication. I cannot tell you how important this is and how it has caused so many problems for so many people for so many years. And when it works well, how beautiful it is. Much of the work done in a team is done interdependently and involves communication among members. So that means a lot of times within a team, you have people who are working on their own, but they have to come back and then bring it together. So this involves communication among these members. Effectiveness of communication affects whether they will be process gain or process loss. So if whether or not you have effective communication, you get a good result. Bad communication, you get a bad result. So here we see the communication process. So we look, information comes into a sender. You have encoding, you have message. Right here you see noise. And that's all types of things that could cause disruptions. I mean, there's infinite number of things right here. So the message, then decoding to the receiver, and then the receiver understanding. So as much as people think a lot of times, well, I'm just talking to someone. No, you're not. A lot of times that's actually communicating with them. And this is the process that you go through when you actually do it. Now, there are times when we just talk to people, but in many instances, when we're talking about something official, work, or whatever else, we're talking about communicating, not talking. Communicated issues. Communicated competence refers to the skills involved in encoding, transmitting, and receiving messages. So that chart I just showed you, emotions and emotional intelligence of team members affect how they express themselves and interpret the message of others. So emotions and emotional intelligence. Let's break down what that is. Emotions are what we have, how we feel, what we got going on, how we think and feel about stuff, our outlook. Emotional intelligence is two-pronged. Emotional intelligence involves, first of all, understanding how we think and feel about what we are, being in tune with your own thoughts and feelings, and then that of others. So if someone is high in emotional intelligence, when they're communicating, they take in consideration how you may think or feel about something. If they are low in emotional intelligence, they will not. They will just say to you something, the best way that they think is to communicate for themselves, not caring about how you perceive it or how it works for you. Noise. Remember the chart I referred to noise a while ago? I showed you that. Interferes with the message being transferred. So it can take on, remember I told you it's infinite number of reasons why. Look at here, distance, obstructions, physical noise. Requires both parties to communicate, to put an extra effort. In order to overcome noise, both people are going to have to put in some effort to work at it, understanding we have some difficulties here. Information richness relates to the amount and the depth of the information being conveyed. Includes both language, nonverbal information, such as body language, facial expressions, and tone or voice. So information richness, I'll give you an example. I can say something to you, but when I say it, I have a scowl on my face. My facial expression does not, it reflects that I'm not happy, though I'm upset or whatever, or I'm not pleased. The tone of voice I use. It's one thing if I say, Jack, can you help me with this? Or it's like, Jack, can you help me with this? That's two different ways. So tone, how you talk to people. The first way Jack might be inclined to say, yes, I can help you. The second way, he'd be like, wait a minute, you don't speak to me like that. You know, because I'm not really asking him, I'm telling him the second time. So you have to be conscientious of, information richness. High information richness is face-to-face conversation. I always tell people, if you're trying to have a very important or serious conversation with somebody, it's face-to-face. And if you can't be in the same place with them for whatever reason, due to distance or time zone, then it's virtual. Moderate information richness refers to personal written note. Low information richness, computer-generated reports filled with numbers. The movie Greyhound is a movie about a World War II, about the World War II naval ship that was actually used to go out in enemy territory, I should say transports troops through enemy territory. And in this particular instance, Tom Hanks is the lead actor. And these guys were going into an area that was known to be referred to as the pit, which was, they were going to be out for about 48 hours, which they were going to be unprotected out there against German enemy submarines. And with that, what you see in here, in spite of this chaos, and particular chaos and dangerous and stress and tense, you notice how you see Captain Krause, which is Tom Hanks' character, how cool and calm he remains in there. And as a result of being able to do that, he's able to keep everybody else cool and calm. Very good movie. If you get a chance to see it, I would recommend you take a look at it. Network structure, the pattern of communication that occurs regularly among each member of the team. So the pattern of communication refers regularly. Centralization is the degree to which communication in a network flows through some members rather than through others. So when you have a team, a group, you have a network. Information flows through people through various ways. And it flows in centralization is the degree to which the communication is a network flows through some members rather than through others. So some people, we refer to it as need to know, and some people don't. And things need to go to some people first before they go to others. All channel network is highly decentralized. This is where everybody's getting everything. All members can communicate directly with each other. Wheel network structure is highly centralized. All communication flows through a central figure. So you will find different structures when it comes to communication and different types of networks. So communication network structures, as you see, so you see centralization of communication. So you see the all channel here on the left where everybody's getting, you see the circle, you see the Y, you see the wheel. These are different types of networks, and they work based upon the type of situations that you have and what you need. And people will determine what networks works best for them for their communication, and that's what they will implement. There are times when you have to tweak this, though. Sometimes you have to make some minor change or tweaks so that you can keep things effective. Team states refer to specific types of feelings and thoughts that coalesce in the minds of team members as a consequence of their experience working together. So, supportive leadership and positive member interactions can lead to feelings of psychological safety, the sense that it is okay to do things that are interpersonally risky, or the expression opinions and challenging status quo won't be met with rejection. This is very important. If people feel that they can actually be truthful and honest with the leader or members of the team, that is psychological safety. And they will say things and they will bring things to your attention that needs to be said. And they won't hold back. And most importantly, they won't be met with rejection or ridicule or punished. Because how dare you speak to me like that way? How dare you tell me this? You don't tell me my job, I know my job. No, you don't have that. Because everybody knows who's in charge. They know who the leader is. But good leaders understand too that if I have good people working for me, they will help me lead better because they will help me make good decisions. And that's the psychological safety from a supportive leadership. And when you ostracism can have negative consequences for both the individual and the team. This is when people say they don't have psychological safety and they don't say things they should say. And if they do, it comes with consequences. And as a result, they stop doing it. Well, guess what? Eventually you find out there are things that they won't tell you when they need to. So we look at the team states here: cohesion, potency, mental models, transactive memory equals team states. So cohesion exists when members of the team develop strong emotional bonds to other members of the team and to the team itself. So this you see a lot. You see a lot in things like the military and law enforcement, where for people who are EMS, for people work in particular situations where it could be life and death. They develop emotional bonds with each other and stuff because realistically, you have to count on somebody else to help keep you alive, and they have to count on you. So you do develop emotional bonds and stuff, more so than regular civilian jobs. But even in civilian jobs, where if you work with somebody long enough and you develop a good relationship with, you can still develop those kind of bonds too. A possible negative outcome of high cohesion is groupthink. Members try to maintain harmony by striving towards senses without ever offering, seeking, or seriously considering alternative viewpoints. So groupthink is when we start thinking alike. And we think that's a good thing. Well, when is normal abnormal? Well, when you take normal and put it in the midst of abnormal, let's say you take a normal guy and put it in the middle of a bunch of abnormal people, he'll be the difference. And he'll be the one that's actually looked at kind of odd because everybody else is doing groupthink. Groupthink can be avoided. Acknowledge detrimental aspects of cohesion. Assess the group's level of cohesion. Appoint a devil's advocate. So you want to be able to have some kind of way to actually nip groupthink in the rear end and get rid of it, because it is counterproductive. It may not destroy or keep you from being successful, but it will keep you from being efficient at it. Cohesion assessment. Here's the assessment right here. Average score is 45. Feel free to take that on your own. Potency. The degree to which members believe that the team can be effective across a variety of situation tasks. High potency. Members are confident and focused. Low potency. Members are unfocused, lack confidence. Team confidence can be too high, especially early in existence. So when you look at potencies, how well is something working? Now, if you have team confidence, it can be too high, especially early. Team confidence can be too high, especially early in existence. That means basically we think we're better than what we really are. And the reason that happens a lot of times is because they don't know. You don't know what you don't know. If it's something you've never done before and you overestimate and you're extremely confident, I can show you at some point in time, that team is probably going to get humbled because they're going to encounter things that they didn't anticipate. So high potency, members are confident, but you don't want them to be too confident. Low potency is members are unfocused and lack confidence. And that is a kiss of death, because if it stays that way, ultimately I can show you a team that either is going to be will have to be, at some point in time, there'll have to be repercussions for that. Mental mode, the level of common understanding among team members with regard to important aspects of the team and its tasks. Important for team members to share an understanding of one another's capabilities. Important to anticipate when another member might need help. Important to have shared understanding of how to resolve team conflicts. So when you have the mental mode, this is when you understand, hey, what our capabilities are. When somebody's struggling. And one of the good things about that is understanding when somebody might need help, another person can step in and help them without being asked. That's how that works. Important to share the understanding of how to resolve team conflicts. When you see this, when it's functioning right, they never get to the point where they are bickering and fighting about stuff, because they understand there will be conflicts by virtue of what they're doing. They also understand they have the means and the capability to actually resolve those, because it's the nature of the beast. Transactive memory. It's how specialized knowledge is distributed among members in a manner that results in an effective system of memory for the team. Team members should possess both specialized knowledge that is useful to the team and meta knowledge regarding who knows that. So realistically, this is when What I know, you know. What you know, I know, to the best of our ability. One of the things that's why that's really important is this. If I need to help you or fill in for you, I can do so. If you need to do for me, vice versa, you can do so. Here's a chart right here that you can do. Transactive memory assessment. 1, strongly disagree. 5, strongly agree. Average score 15. You can take that on your own if you like. Why are some teams more than the sum of their parts? Why are some teams more than the sum of their parts? It's because they are able to do some things, and I'm gonna say they develop some type of chemistry that you can't anticipate, and a lot of times you can't duplicate. And so when you see that, this is what you see up here. You see cognitive behavior, decision making, boundary spanning, teamwork, and it comes to process gain. So when we come down here at the bottom, we see things where you see process loss. You see these things right here that all interfere. They're counterproductive, and those things don't work well, and they actually cause processes loss. How important are team processes? They are very important. Team processes have a moderate positive relationship to team performance. This relationship holds true for transition processes, action processes, and interpersonal processes. Teamwork processes have a strong positive relationship with team commitment. People tend to be satisfied in teams in which they are effective interpersonal relationships. So when we think in terms of how are the teams working, a lot of times when you see teams that are well functioning or high functioning, you also find people who are satisfied and their interpersonal relationships are healthy and they're functional. And you see team respect, you see teamwork, you see all types of stuff that happens. And it's like a well-oiled machine. And I will tell you this, a lot of times managers don't manage them. Managers actually just lead them. They know what they're supposed to do and they get things done. So a manager doesn't go to tell them what to do. A lot of times a manager goes to them to ask them, what do you need? So from what we're talking about, you see team processes, you see that it has a moderate relationship on team performance. And you see team processes represents a strong correlation to team commitment. So team processes have a strong commitment. It's kind of what I was referring to. So application training teams. Transportable teamwork competencies refer to knowledge, skills, and abilities. Team training that involves helping people develop general teamwork competencies that can transport from one team context to another. So when you look at this, this is when you create a team and you develop it and you almost get them to the point where you understand. You got to look at the knowledge, skills, and abilities. And once those things are, you got those things to where they need to be, then you can look at these things. This is transportable. They can move around within the team or possibly to other teams. Teamwork, knowledge, skills, and abilities. So we have a chart here, 12-2. You can pause and read through that, and you can see with the conflict resolution, collaborative problem solving, communications, goal setting, and performance management, planning, and task coordination. Cross-training, training team members in duties and responsibilities of their teammates. Personal clarification, training in which members simply receive information regarding the roles of other team members. So this is when you build a strong team. So for instance, if someone was to go out for a week or so, this team continues its functions because other people knows that person's job. They know what that person's supposed to do and they can do it. Positional modeling, training that involves observations of how team members perform their roles. This is what you'll find a lot of times when you bring new members on, do the cross training, they will do the observation. And during that observation, you let them observe, let them try a little bit, and someone observing them to help them to get their feet wet. Positional rotation, training that gives members actual experience carrying out the responsibilities of their teammates. So now you give them opportunities. You rotate. So in other words, I don't have somebody who's just, if I got 5 team members, I don't have 5 team members who all specialize in one particular thing. I have 5 team members who are all actually specialize in one particular thing, but familiar in the other 4 categories of the other folks that I can rotate them. Team process training, the use of team experiences that facilitates the team's ability to function and perform more effectively as an intact unit. So you have action learning, team process training, in which a team has the opportunity to work on an actual problem within the organization. So this is very similar to simulations and stuff, where you put people together and say, okay, I want you to work on this. They actually get a chance to work together as a team on a project, on a problem within the organization. Second type involves experience in a team context where there are task demands that highlight the importance of effective teamwork processes. So again, when you have them put them together, experience, they work together in a certain context, when there are certain tasks you want them to work on based upon the demands. And they can highlight the importance of this effective work. And a lot of times, when I seen this, these might be like task force, people put together to solve a particular problem. Team building, fun activities that facilitate team problem solving, trust, relationship building, and the clarification of role responsibilities, normally conducted by a consultant. Examples include rope courses, scavenger hunts. Difficult to judge the effectiveness of team building activities on team performance. When I've seen these team building things are really good in a couple of instances. One, when you're trying to start a new team, bringing them together and put them through some things like this. I tell you something else that actually people are seeing. You're seeing people doing things like the scary house, things like that they may go to, or various types of things or activities, whatever else. But you also see when you have situations where you may have a team that's struggling and they don't work together as a team, you may choose to try to go do something like this as well, to try to get them to understand, to lighten the load, make it fun, build some relationships. And a lot of times these are done out. This is done outside of work. It might be work, but be done outside of work because you're trying to get them outside of work because you're trying to develop relationships. What I found to be the case is sometimes when people have really good relationships at work, sometimes they bond outside of work too. Team building can actually help with that. That concludes chapter 12.